Hey guys, today we're driving the 2024 Maserati Grecale Trofeo. This is Maserati's new compact performance SUV that competes with the likes of the BMW X3M, the Porsche Macan, the Audi SQ5. It has 523 horsepower, 457 pound-feet of torque, and has the same 3-liter twin-turbo V6 as the Maserati MC20 that we tested about a year ago. It rides on adaptive air suspension. We have 2 infotainment screens here, one for all your media and one for all of your controls, which I think is actually quite brilliant. The Italians give their cars the best paddle shifters. They're metal, they're fixed. Let's walk you guys around this Maserati Grecale Trofeo and talk about what it's been like to live with this week. I'll take for a drive and give you guys some driving impressions. Oh, it sounds really, really mean. Now I've got to admit, I saw this Grecale in photos and I was not very impressed with the way it looks, but in person, it's quite a bit sharper. These 21-inch wheels look great. The rear end is a bit more sculpted and almost kind of Porsche-like. In the rear, we have 295 35 R21 Bridgestone Potenza Sport tires. And in the front, 255 40 R21s. Nice looking brakes as well. The side profile looks good. The front looks a bit strange. It's kind of diminutive and shrunken compared to the rest of the car. I like the subtle little red lines here in the Maserati Trident. Carbon fiber rear diffuser. Quad exhaust tips. And I love how this chrome piece just comes to a point right here under the Maserati logo. Very nice low load floor here. Get these tie down points that are adjustable. No spare tire, just to fix a flat kit. 12-volt DC outlet. Lower the rear seats all at once, and they fold pretty flat. This Maserati Grecale Trofeo starts at $105,500. As tested, this is $119,000. So significantly more expensive than all of its competitors, especially with options. This has the Premium Plus package, which is a little over $4,000. That includes some niceties. We'll include all those details in the description for you guys. Let's hop in behind my driving position. I like these electronic door handles. They're easy to grab onto, but they look aerodynamic, sleek, and they feel nice and high quality. A surprising amount of back seat space. Room to put my feet under the front seat. I'm seated behind my 5'10" driving position. Plenty of knee room. Looks like we've got some rear climate control here too. Temperature, fan speed, direction, heated seats. The leather in here feels very premium. I've got to say, this is one of the nicer interiors I've seen from Maserati recently, from both a tech standpoint and with regards to its quality and feel. Everything here feels very premium. Definitely feels like a $100,000 car. Ingress and egress is very easy. Another lever here to pull down those seats. You can see our Sonus Faber speaker grills right there. Let's pop the hood really quickly. Take a look at this 3-liter twin-turbo V6. Mosquitoes are loving the exhaust on this. Hey, the Nettuno V6. Shared with the Maserati Gran Turismo and the MC20. 523 horsepower. Rated for 18 miles to the gallon in the city, 25 on the highway. Surprisingly efficient for the power this thing puts out. But chances are you're going to be driving this like a complete maniac, like an Italian, and you're not quite going to get those fuel economy numbers, but who knows? If you have a light foot, you may want to enjoy the more luxurious aspects of this Grecale. Love the wheels, love the brakes. I don't mind the side profile, and from the rear it actually looks pretty good. All right, let's go drive it and see what it's like behind the wheel. Couple USB ports, a storage bin, wireless charging, wireless CarPlay, and Android Auto. Is this another wireless charging port? I don't know if it is. Ooh, very soft material here on the sun visors. Good to see. Interior lights are nice and bright. We've got sunroof controls right here. That's it. And then a screen that will cover everything. Nice dual pane panoramic sunroof. Illuminates this interior beautifully. Red leather stitching. Ambient lighting here too. And we can control all that very, very quickly. We have options between warm, neutral, cold, and off. And you can't really see it in the daylight. Go check out the Winding Road Magazine night drive on this. Ride height, Aero 1, Aero 2, normal, off-road, off-road 1, off-road 2. Wonder how high this goes up in off-road mode. That is the beauty of air suspension. You can get quite a bit of ground clearance out of your high-performance luxury SUV. All right, we're gonna put this into sport mode. It just sounds better in sport mode. And then on the drive mode selector, we have an option here to change our suspension from sport to normal and comfort. Comfort's very floaty. Sport stiffens things up a little bit. Corsa, oh, gets really stiff, really hardcore. Those pops from the exhaust are super loud, almost deafening with the windows down. I like this infotainment. This is great. Look at this. You've got tons of constant controls down here. Yes, it's all touchscreen, but everything is here that you would need. Your ride height, your rear HVAC, your seat controls, your memory settings. Headlights are right here. No headlight switch over to the left. Clock. You can choose different clock faces here in this little digital screen. That's very clever. I like that. And earlier, when I was connecting my phone, it showed a little Bluetooth icon in there. So this isn't just a clock. It shows some information sometimes, too, on occasion. The only thing I don't love, upon first impressions driving this for this last few days, is the push-button shifter. It would be nice to have something a little bit more solid. And actually, when I first got in this, I didn't notice these there. I thought, how do I put this into gear? Do I use the paddle shifters? Is there a column shifter? It was dark. It was late at night. The interior wasn't very illuminated. It took me a couple minutes to realize these were actually here, and they're push buttons. You can completely turn off this display down here by holding the power button. That's nice. And you've got your volume controls here. No volume knob or dial, just this plus minus, which I suppose will suffice. Massive cup holders, water bottle holders down here. Pretty deep. And same deal in the door. That looks pretty nice. You've got, since these are electronically operated doors, you've got a physical switch down there. Pretty good visibility around this Grecale. Yeah, looks pretty good in here. You've got a few different gauge cluster options, so you can choose between an evolved cluster, a classic cluster, and this more minimalist, relaxed cluster, which looks like that. Otherwise, pretty simple screens in this. Everything is well laid out. It seems to be reasonably responsive and quick to react. CarPlay works well. No connectivity issues this week. You've got a few different pages here that you can customize. There are all of your apps. similar to other Stellantis vehicles, but with a bit of a twist. Here's what your reverse and 360 cameras look like. They fill the screen beautifully. Love to see that. Do we have a quick access camera control here? We do. Surround cam right there. Nice. So if you shift into drive, you can see forward. If you shift into reverse, it'll switch it around. That's nice to see. Kind of clever. If you go into another menu on this lower screen, it'll resume back to its standard climate screen pretty quickly. There's no home button or anything. I noticed today that the fan is quite loud if you're just facing it forward, but if you kind of disperse your airflow to the windshield and down to your feet, it quiets down beautifully. You can barely hear it. We've got a button here to turn off auto stop start. That's automatically disabled in sport mode, and it looks like our gauge brightness has just realized that it's daytime. That's nice. You can manually adjust that right here, as well as your ambient lighting. I love it. It's great. It's easy. Drive mode selector right here. We'll test out adaptive cruise control. We've got paddle shifters behind the wheels. All right, let's go for a drive. Before we set off, however, let's mention our sponsor for this video, Lewis Jewelers, who has supplied us with a very cool watch for today's drive. This is the new Breitling Avenger B01 Chronograph 44 Night Mission. What a mouthful and what a watch. 44mm case that is ceramic with a carbon dial. Looks like forged carbon. We've got really nice resistance to the pushers here. Very smooth secondhand sweep. I mean, this feels badass on the wrist. This watch has anti-reflective coating on the front and back of the face. It's a very, very easy to read and clear dial. We've got a date here at the bottom. Rotating bezel. Nice smooth operation there. Stops right at 12. Love that. Deployment clasp. Really, really nice strap on this. Love the texture. Love the feel of it. Really rugged. And there's that gorgeous B01 movement back there. It's a little bit lighter of a watch than you would expect, but wears really nice on the wrist. Anyway, enjoy that on the wrist in this video. Go check out Lewis Jewelers. I'll throw a link in the description for this watch. Talk to DK, and don't forget to mention TheTopher. He'll make sure you guys have a great buying experience for your next luxury timepiece. All right, let's go drive this Maserati Grecale Trofeo. We're in sport mode. Let's put us into gear and set off. This exhaust has a really nice burble to it. I think my drive mode of choice here is sport mode with the dampers in regular, normal comfort. Corsa mode really stiffens things up a lot. Let's test that briefly on this entrance ramp. We're just going to go full hardcore from the beginning of this video, and then we'll delve into the more comfortable settings and see how this car drives when driven like a sane person. All right, we're going to crack a window here so you guys can hear this exhaust. All right, so we're in full Corsa mode here. Suspension is in its stiffest mode. Oh, brakes are fantastic. These Bridgestones are hanging on for dear life. A little bit of safe understeer at the limit. We have shift lights on the dashboard. This is hardcore. In Corsa, you can set the suspension to a softer sport setting. This Grecale revs. It's got some taller gearing, but the ZF 8-speed is just awesome. All right, so let's go into GT mode for a second. Suspension's going to rise up a bit. Gauge cluster is going to change. and the whole drivetrain is just going to calm down. Bit of Jekyll and Hyde here going on. Bit of a split personality. I like it. Pretty quiet at speed too on the highway. I think the biggest surprise here is just the feedback that I'm getting from all of my inputs. My steering, my braking, through the chassis, through the seat, through my backside. I can kind of feel out road textures. But it still is comfortable and isolating and luxurious. I felt a little bit of this in the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio as well. Really good feedback. Driving position is good. I can get really nice and low in these seats. Good amount of adjustment too here. Sport mode again. A little bit of safe understeer at the limit. Yeah, it's properly quick. About adaptive cruise control here on the highway. Easy to operate. All of your buttons are exactly where you'd expect them to be. Change your following distance very easily. You've got a speed limiter. You can skip 5-mile-an-hour increments very easily. That's a good system. Going a little bit past the speed that I set there. That's okay. This ZF 8-speed automatic is just fantastic. Alright, we'll cancel everything. Go into sport mode again. Love the drive mode animations here. We do have full manual control. Just hit the D/M button. Suspension really stiffens up in Sport and Corsa. It's fun. You look at this thing from the outside and you don't really expect it to be an absolute animal. It's expensive, but this drives really, really well. There's a lot of personality here, a lot of feedback. Let's roll down a couple windows here. Listen to this exhaust. It's a little bit obnoxious, but that's okay. Yeah, that's loud. All right, let's get back onto the highway here. I think I'm going to live in sport mode with our dampers set to a softer setting. I don't think the handling here is as refined as it is in the BMW and the Porsche. There's a bit more body roll, a bit more unpredictability to this chassis. But the feedback is so good. And the powertrain is so much fun and interesting that it really does offer a cool experience behind the wheel. Wow, suspension's so floaty in GT mode. Let's go back into adaptive cruise control here. We also have an active lane management system that's on right now. I don't don't know if it keeps us centered between the lines or if it just kind of bounces us off the corners. It's bouncing us off the corners. Okay, so no real lane centering. All right, well, as a car to just drive normally, this is very comfortable. I love how soft the suspension is, even though it does make for some interesting handling characteristics when you're really pushing it. You can always stiffen the suspension back up with your mode selector or your different drive modes, and it handles pretty well for an SUV. And as a car to daily drive and live with, this is very nice. Super refined here. We are struggling a little bit with our interior brightness with our buttons and our screens and our ambient light today. It's kind of going between dark and light, and as a result I can't see some of my steering wheel buttons very well. Little Italian quirks, not a big deal. For the most part though, everything in this interior has worked really well this week. CarPlay connectivity has been quite good. Turn signal isn't my favorite sound, but I suppose I could live with it. Leave it up to the Italians to make an SUV with personality and better steering and brake feel than some sports cars. That exhaust might get a little bit old for your neighbors after a certain point. Ooh, nice Civic Type R. There is a launch control sequence in this Maserati Grecale Trofeo. It's very complicated and takes forever. So I think we're just gonna do a regular launch up here. We'll put it into Corsa mode. Properly quick. It is nice and neutral on throttle. That electronically controlled limited slip diff in the back does its job. Alright, this is comfort mode. This is fun. I'm enjoying my time in this Grecale. I just don't like the way the front end looks. It's a bit strange. It doesn't quite fit the character and the rest of the design of this car. It looks very Maserati base model. But this does not feel Maserati base model. This is one of the best driving SUVs I've ever experienced from Maserati. The interior is really nice and modern. The tech works great. The driving dynamics are hilarious. Maybe don't sleep on the Grecale. It's a fun package. Probably a little bit more expensive than the competition, and probably we'll see a little bit more depreciation than the competition. But if you want something different, with some Italian flair, and a bit of Stellantis influence, then this is pretty cool. Oh, the CF8 Speed gets really lazy in comfort mode. Oh yeah, slush box. Surprisingly quick. An SUV with some supercar tendencies. The paddle shifters, they feel special. The sounds that this makes, it's pretty wild. I could do with a bit more bite from the braking system, but the pedal feel is so excellent and the modulation is so well calibrated. I don't really have a lot of complaints about the way this drives. This is a fun performance SUV. I'm having a good time. It achieves a really nice blend between sportiness, fun to drive factor, and luxury and comfort. It gets so soft in GT and comfort mode. It just wafts along, even on these 21-inch wheels. NVH is very good in the cabin. We still need to test this Sonus Faber sound system, but we'll do that at the end of the video. Overall, quite impressed with the Maserati Grecale, and this Trofeo trim is probably the one to get, just because it extra levels of insanity. If you're getting a Maserati, get the fast one. I love the steering. There are a few little quirks here, but for the most part, this seems like a very well dialed in product from the brand. Surprisingly so. Much like the MC20, the control interface makes sense. It's well thought out. This is an easy car to live with, use. Everything is intuitively laid out. Let's park this, see if we still like the way it looks, or if we can live with the way it looks, given how we know how well it drives now. We'll just park it right here for a second. Parking brake automatically engages. Corsa mode. Oh, and the key has a really nice heft to it. Wrapped in leather or vinyl. This feels very high quality. Big buttons, makes sense, easy to use. I think in person, this is a better looking SUV. In photos and video, especially in POV, it doesn't quite translate, but walking up to this, I don't mind the way it looks in the flesh. All right, let's see what this sound system is like. We've got volume. I wish they gave us a volume knob, but that's okay. We have volume controls on the back of the steering wheel. There is a lot going on back here. Paddle shifters, turn signals, wiper controls, media controls, but it all works. That's awesome. All right, into drive. sound system here is quite good. I don't think it's at the same level as it was in the MC20. The tuning just isn't quite there. You might have to make some tweaks in there. Overall, this is very nice. Probably worth the extra $4,200 for that Premium Plus package. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. That's a drive in the 2024 Maserati Grecale Trofeo. Shout out to Lewis Jewelers. Appreciate them lending us this Breitling Avenger B01 Chronograph 44 Night Mission. Whew, what a watch. Been cool to have it on the wrist for this drive. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. That'll be it for this one. We'll see you guys later.